right by the front, lots of brand new Rising Stars t-shirts, hats.
Didn't say anything more close to be stopped there.
You want us to start talking? You want us to start? Okay. Okay. Okay, we're just about ready for the next bout of the evening. We've got a couple of guys with not very shining records, but it could make for a good match, Stan. What do you think about this bout coming up here? Ernie Pargas and Mark Urioste.
Well, we have about 6 fights total here, 7 fights between them, with a 1 win out of all those 7 fights. So it's got to be a pretty evenly matched fight.
Right.
Just from the records.
At least it's an even match, if not a world title match.
Pargas is from Socorro. He's a game youngster, and he's willing to give it everything he's got, but they've overmatched him every time he's fought, and he hasn't won out of his 4 attempts. Maybe this will be the time where he might win a fight.
This could be his chance right here. We're just about ready for the action.
All right. For your next fight of the evening, this will be 6 rounds in the welterweight division. Introducing to you our judges, Jim Ash, Bill Yank, and Jim Bagshaw. The third man in charge of all the action, Mr. Russell Mora. For the participants, first, fighting out of the blue corner, he weighed in at 149 pounds. He has a professional record of 1 win, 1 loss. His 1 win coming by KO from Las Vegas, New Mexico. Please give a warm welcome for Mark Urioste. His opponent, fighting out of the red corner, hails from Socorro, New Mexico. Has a professional record of 0 wins, 4 losses. He weighed in at 147 pounds. Please give a warm welcome for ERNEST PARGAS.
So ERNEST PARGAS and Mark Urioste are about ready to tangle here. Ernie Pargas looking for his first victory as a professional here in his 5th bout. Mark Urioste with the record of 1 win, 2 losses, and 1 draw. 1 win by knockout, so it looks like on paper anyway, we're gonna have a pretty even match, and I know both of these guys like to throw, so here we go, round 1 underway.
Well, they're both the same size. They have about the same physique. One is a little more tattooed than the other, but then I don't think that's going to be much of an advantage.
That won't help him in the scoring
any. I don't think so. But I think Pargas has probably a little more experience, but Urioste is going to be tough.
And right now it looks like Urioste is the aggressor so far early here. He came out with a barrage to the body, and that looks like it might be his fight plan to get in here against Ernie Pargas. Mark Urioste in the solid black trunks. Ernie Pargas with the red stripe down the side. Pargas written across the front waistband. You can see Ernie Pargas now trying to get that jab going. He's not a bad boxer, and that 0-4 record could be a little bit deceiving. I think he had a little bit of amateur background.
Well, he has had a little amateur background. He did fight in the Golden Gloves and has done a good job. And that's, of course, when they do a fairly decent job as an amateur, then the coach and the boxer, of course, says, we want to make some money, so let's go pro.
Right. Pargas started his career in a tough way. He went up against world-ranked Kenny Cigarani out of Ohio, Youngstown, Ohio. He was overmatched there, and now Urioste lands some bombs. And you can see Pargas shaking down to the soles of his feet. He's trying to kind of hold on there. He was a little bit surprised there, cruising along, and Urioste, who is a bomber, comes in on the attack now.
I'm not too sure that Pargas wants to get into a wrestling match with Urioste. Urioste looks to be a little more stout, probably a little bit stronger at this point.
Right.
I don't know about his boxing skills, but that'll come too in a minute.
Probably be to Pargas' advantage to fight on the outside and work at long range. But right now, I think Urioste has been successful at drawing Pargas into a slugfest here. A lot of brawling, Stan.
Yeah. Well, you can tell Urioste has a good stance. He keeps his hands up, which is a little bit opposite of what Pargas is doing. And if Urioste is able to get one of those roundhouses in, he'll put Pargas in a lot of trouble.
Urioste, maybe not the most polished, but certainly pretty strong guy. Like you said, he's pretty well built. He's going to bring a lot of power into the ring here against Ernie Pargas. Pargas may be doing a little bit too much posing and shooting out one jab at a time. He might want to put some punches together.
We're going to have a problem too, I think, just from watching this first round down the road in the third or fourth, if it goes that long, with the little conditioning thing.
We'll be back with more boxing action after these words.
Into the first round. Looks like we can also tap the Rockies. Down.
Welcome back to the Lujan complex here on the State Fairgrounds. Dan Sisneros at ringside along with former Athletic Commission Chairman Stan Gallup. And Stan, we're seeing a pretty entertaining bout here between two good undercard fighters.
Well, I think they want to make an impression. Neither of them have done much, and now is the time to, do well, get on future cards. So I think we're going to see some action out of both these boys.
The two are mixing it up right on top of us here. They're right above us. Mark Urioste is the more of the inside brawling type fighter. Ernie Pargas trying to stay on the outside. But I still think maybe just not using the jab enough. Looks like Ernie Pargas could use that reach and stick that jab out there a little more.
He's going to have to tie him up once in a while when Urioste gets in close. I think the best defense that Pargas has is to tie him up. He doesn't want to brawl with him.
Right. He wants to stop that momentum. And Mark Urioste has been throwing the bombs, and here he comes again, ducking his head and throwing a body shot. This fight has to mean a lot to both of these guys fighting in front of the home crowd here. I'm sure Pargas bringing a lot of his friends and family up from Socorro, and Urioste from right here in Albuquerque, or actually from Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Well, it's good to have New Mexico boys on these cards because they are a part of this rising star program that Frescas Productions is putting on.
Right.
It's just delightful that he is willing to give these younger people a chance to at least not experienced fighters, maybe not so young, but at least less experienced.
Right, and I think these two are well matched where one of them could take a little bit of a step up here.
Oh, a real good jab that time by Pargas. Kind of slowed Urioste down a little bit. Kind of like he walked into a brick wall.
But you see Urioste winging with that big right hand and just caught the chin of Pargas, and now Pargas holding on, trying to slow Urioste down a little bit. Urioste is he's not too shy about throwing his hands, is he, Stan?
No, he'll get right in there and mix it up with you. Got to give credit, too, to Russell Mora, who's doing an excellent job as a referee. And there's a slip there.
Just as you said it, right on cue.
Yeah.
Russell Mora called it a slip, just as it was. Looks like Pargas might be trying to kind of counter-punch, try to time Urioste charging in, but just not able to do it yet. We're coming to the end of the second round here at the Lujan building. Dan Sisneros and Stan Gallup. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
His lovely ring girl number 3.
At this point, Stan, I think both of these guys have landed some good shots.
It's going to be one of those hard fights to judge.
Right.
No really good, clean blows that would be telling as far as the judges are concerned. But there's a lot of mixing up and there's a lot of holding. But I think it's a pretty close fight at this point.
Looks like a pretty good contrast in styles. The stand-up boxing style of Ernie Pargas and the charging, power style of Mark Urioste makes for a good match. Urioste trying to get that right hand in there, and you see Pargas flicking out the jab. And Pargas with a slow right hand left himself wide open there. Looks like a little bit of fatigue setting in on both fighters, Stan. They've been using a lot of energy.
Well, I mentioned that in the first round. It's going to be a matter of who runs out of gas first here. I think it may be telling in the fourth or fifth round. If they have to go six, they've got to be in really pretty good shape here.
Right, we've got welterweights here scheduled for 6 rounds. Ernie Pargas with the red stripe down the side. His opponent, Mark Urioste, charges in and lands a right hand. A good, solid right hand. Pargas did a good job of tying him up. And now he catches him with a jab as he comes in. As Urioste comes charging in, Pargas stuck the jab out there. Urioste again trying to land that overhand right. Pargas now fires back, and Ernie Pargas lands a good shot. A good back and forth flow in this fight. Urioste now tries a body shot. He comes back again with that same shot. Pargas standing straight up here, and looks like quite a height difference here.
I think we have about a 3 inches difference in height there with Pargas, the taller of the two boys. And if you watch carefully, he's got to hit down.
Right.
He's got to kind of strike downward in order to do any good on Mark Urioste.
I think that could sometimes throws you off when you got to, fire down with your punches, just like firing up. Pargas with a nice jab now is starting to connect with that jab a little bit. That could do him a world of good.
One of the nice things about this type of a fight, the crowd gets their money's worth.
Definitely.
The crowd loves it, and if one of them really gets in a good blow, they'll earn a lot of respect, and the crowd just gets on with it.
We'll be back with more action after this.
The third round is lightweight number 4, Lisa.
This guy's bleeding that out of the mouth. Good one.
7's down, fourth and final round.
Back to the action here in Albuquerque. Ernie Pargas and Mark Urioste locked up in a good battle here so far. A lot of power shots exchanged. These two guys are going to war here. Ernie Pargas with a record of 0-4, looking for his first victory. And Mark Urioste at 1-2-1. Would like to bring his record up to 500, and this means a lot to both guys. A lot of punishment being dished out so far.
I think both of these boys listen to the announcer, and we may not have the correct information because our card says that this will be a 6-round fight. However, the ring announcer just announced this is the 4th and final round.
Okay.
So we'll check and see how this all goes, and probably a little more aggressiveness on both boys being, they think, is the 4th and final round.
Right. Okay, so A little confusion here on the length of rounds, but no confusion on what's going on in the ring. These guys are trading. And now the crowd, a little bit of a chant for Pargas behind us here. And Urioste lands a bomb, and Pargas just kind of froze there for a split second. And Pargas is holding on, and Urioste is glad he is. He was just kind of leaning up against him. These guys are really burnt out, Stan.
I think fatigue is setting in a little bit on both of these guys, and it probably would be well if this fight ended after 4 rounds.
Right, it could get mighty sloppy in a few rounds.
Yeah, I think they're both got up ahead of steam in there, and they're puffing a little bit, but I got a couple more minutes to go in this 4th round, so.
Mark Urioste now running in with the right hands firing. Pargas just hanging on, tying him up smartly, but it's Urioste who may be making an impression with that aggression.
Now, Pargas is visibly out of gas. He just looks like he hopes this thing is over and soon.
Big right hand just missed there by Urioste.
That's right.
Oh, and there's a left hand by Urioste. Pargas fires back. Nice uppercut now by
Right
Pargas.
Wonderful shot.
Where's it been all the fight? Both men just kind of stand back, and you know that they're just building up some energy. Now a nice combination by Urioste using both hands for a change.
I think he came on well here in this 4th round. Urioste is the aggressor.
Max and Harry Heyman working the corner for Mark Urioste. That's why I was thinking he was from Albuquerque, but because I've seen him train down at the South San Jose gym, but he's listed here as being from Las Vegas, New Mexico, up north of us here. Good battle of North versus South, Socorro and Las Vegas. 10 seconds to go. Urioste finishing with a flurry. We'll be back with a decision after these words.
There's ring number 5.
I guess it is a 6.
It's Melissa.
Okay, it is a 6.
Seconds down.
Well, as you can see, we are not back for the decision, but we're going to continue on with 2 more rounds. A lot of confusion. I hope the fighters aren't as confused as we are, Stan. They've been giving us mixed signals.
Yeah, we did. We got a bad signal. And you mentioned that Urioste is from Las Vegas, but he does train at the South San Jose gym in Albuquerque because Mr. Max Heyman, who trains his own son, is also the trainer for Urioste. I think he's given him, he tried to give him as good advice as he can for a youngster who has not very many fights.
Mark Urioste has been coming on strong here in the later rounds, and I do mean strong, and there you see him again, just using power to just push his way in on Pargas, and all Ernie can do is really hold on, and like you said earlier, Ernie Pargas looking like his gas tank running on empty, and Urioste really trying to take advantage of that. You can see all the aggression, all the forward movement is Mark Urioste, lowers his head and just comes in with hooks. There you see him with a nice hook to the body, and Ernie Pargas turning his head now.
Well, he's holding on a lot too, but I think I mentioned the last round that he is visibly running out of gas. So, I hate to see that happen because that's a sign of a lack of proper training.
That could be what's hurting Ernie Pargas in this bout, and as we said earlier, as Stan called it earlier in the very beginning, this bout would come down to conditioning, and right now it looks like Mark Urioste has plenty left as he lands a good right hand to the head of Pargas, and you can see the expression on Ernie Pargas' face that he's hurting. He is definitely suffering. Mark Urioste is starting to put some punishment on his opponent, Ernie Pargas. And now Urioste just leaping in with the left hand, and now Pargas with a good counter right hand. And Urioste fires with all he has with a right hand. No lack of heart by either man. They're both just taking this to the limit. But Mark Urioste just seems to be busier and winning the round with his, just by staying busy, Stan. I think that's doing him real good.
Well, they're firing up the crowd. I'll tell you, with those little flurries, they get the crowd excited, and that's what it's all about. We got folks standing up, boosting for one of the other boxers, and
Pargas having a ball, Stan.
Yeah.
So are we here at ringside. Dan Sisneros and Stan Gallup bringing you the action here from Albuquerque, New Mexico, the State Fairgrounds. Rising Stars 8, Lenny Fresquez with another gem tonight. And now the pace slowing down just a bit. These guys burned up a lot of energy in the early part of the round. Now Pargas trying to get up on his toes a little bit and move around the ring. Should have been doing this earlier. We got 10 seconds to go in the 5th round, scheduled for 6, and we'll be back after these words.
Here's another ring girl number 6. This is Suzanne with Corona Extra. And the back again, the Sharon in Uptown. Also Corona Beer and the Loop Company. Seconds down, 6th and final round. Come on, choose that one.
Okay, so once again we bring you to a final round. I hope they don't change it to an 8th this time, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a 6-rounder, Stan. I have Mark Urioste ahead in this one. How do you see it so far?
Yes, I believe he has come on well. I didn't give him the 1st round, but he did come on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and I think he just dominated the 5th round. So I think the judges' cards are going to show that probably that Urioste has come on well enough to win the fight, but we're not judging.
Still got a couple minutes to go too, and Pargas looking to land the bomb, or at least he should be. I don't know if he has the power to stop Mark Urioste. Although Urioste, well, they both kind of ran into a right hand there at the same time. Urioste claiming a headbutt, I think. He kind of rubbed his head there. But you can see Mark Urioste, he doesn't hesitate to just charge in and fire a big bomb at any time. And it seems like Ernie Pargas could capitalize that, step back a little bit, and time him and catch him coming in, Stan. I don't know why he doesn't do that.
Well, of course, the youngsters with this few fights, why, as they progress, and if Lenny Fresquez continues these programs, these guys will be put on these cards, and they're willing to come in and for a very little amount of money. Why they're a learning process.
And like you said earlier, the fans loving it. Ernie Pargas and Mark Urioste definitely giving the fans their money's worth here. And Urioste just continuing to just kick the door in. He just kicks the door in and just steps right inside. There's a right hand now by Urioste, landed, came over the top of the left of Pargas. Pargas just lazily leaving it out there.
I think anytime there's a little flurry, you're going to see a tie-up.
Yeah, I think Pargas especially will just tie things up there as Urioste, the shorter man, comes inside. And like you said, that's not a bad tactic. Oh, there's a right hand, but yeah, he didn't call a break, so he fired the right hand and scored on Pargas.
Well, I guess the referee's instructions are protect yourself at all times.
That's right.
And if you don't have your hands up on the brake, you're liable to get hit, and that happens once in a while.
That happens, and we just saw it there. Time running out on Ernie Pargas. There's a right hand fired over the top by Mark Urioste. Time running out now, and Ernie Pargas, and he's just kind of stepping back and tying up again. That's pretty much been his game plan all night.
We've got a lot of fans the chant for Pargas, but I think it's a little bit too late for him.
Yeah, definitely.
Just, again, we're unofficially guessing.
And now he's waving his right hand in the air, but let's see him throw it. Pargas waves his right hand in the air, but Urioste throws the bomb, and that ends the fight. We'll be back with a decision after these words. Stick with us. Okay, so 6 rounds in the books, and well, it may have been a one-sided fight, but the fans are sure happy with what they saw tonight, Stan. And look at Ernie Pargas playing to the crowd up here.
Well, he's having a great time, and the fans are loving it. You got a fan club for Ernie Pargas. He's going to have to do a little work to get anywhere in the boxing world, but then he loves it, evidently. He's willing to take a little bit of a beating once in a while, but he comes back. He trains hard, and Urioste, as you mentioned a while ago, he does train in Albuquerque. He's trained by Mr. Max Heyman, who is over there in the corner now with him, giving him some information, saying you did this okay or you didn't do that well. Or,
right.
But we'll get back to the gym tomorrow or the next day, and we'll talk about these things.
And I think Urioste, who we're looking at now, the man pulling the gloves off them, Max Heyman, is a pretty good up-and-coming fighter himself, Stan.
Well, he's a light heavyweight. He's got about a 5-0 record. And I think he's all but one fight he has won by knockout. So he's a tough young guy. And he's, of course, now he's in a position to help some of the younger fighters, or at least some of the less experienced fighters.
Looks like quite a bit improved performance by Mark Urioste here. He did show some nice things. Power is his game, obviously. He's a power fighter, and Ernie Pargas just couldn't deal with it in this one, in our unofficial opinion, or at least my opinion. Would you agree with that, Stan?
I agree. I agree with that. We'll be coming up here with a decision in just a second. We'll check it out. They're adding scores, and you know, there's always a possibility in a brawl type of a fight that there's a split decision.
Right.
One of the judges doesn't particularly like my fighter holding or the other fighter holding, but there were no warnings, and it was just the normal course of the match where both of them were guilty of a little bit of holding. The ring announcer's got an announcement for us here, so we'll see what happens.
Okay, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a split decision.
You called it, Stan.
Judge Gant sees the fight. 58-56 for Uzeta. Judge Bagshaw sees the fight. 60-56 for Pargas. Judge Ash sees the fight. 58-57 for your winner by split decision, Urioste.
Okay, so Mark Urioste is the winner in this one by a close split decision.
Don't forget,
We'll be back with more boxing action from Albuquerque after these words. Stick with us.
We'll bring the girls up and show you what the hats and shirts look like.